Hello everyone, Caren Glasser here, and welcome to this episode of The Passion Point. The Passion Point is the show where we get to follow entrepreneurs and people that are following their passion and making a living doing what they love. Today I'm really excited about our guest, Honoree Corder. She is a best-selling author of dozens of books. If you go to Amazon and you just put her name in there, you're going to see a whole list of things come up. Her newest book, Vision to Reality, How Short-Term Massive Action Equals Long-Term Maximum Results. I'm right in the middle of the book, and it's awesome. It is an amazing book, and it shows you basically how these STMAs, and she's going to talk a little bit about that, how these short-term massive actions can really take you to the next step. She's a coach. She's a result-oriented coach, and that's really important because a lot of coaches don't do that. They just talk and talk and talk, and Honoree is not that kind of coach. So I'm really excited to bring her in. I'm not going to talk any more about all the different stuff on her bio because we're going to talk directly to her. So Honoree, come on in and say hello to our network.
Hi everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so delighted. We just recently have met, and this is really an honor for you to be on the show today. So we always like to start the show with a definition of passion. And the Webster's Dictionary definition says that it's a driving, overmastering feeling or conviction. That's what passion is according to Webster's Dictionary. Honoree, how would you describe passion?
I think it's the force within us that makes us do the thing that we must do, the thing we're on this planet to do.
So I could ask you the next question and say, so are you passionate? Do you have a passion?
Yes. Yes.
So how do you think passion actually plays out in individuals' lives? How do you think it actually gets in there and helps you?
Well, I think it's like what I was saying is it's the driving force. It's I don't always know why I do something. I just know that I am compelled to do something. It's the thing that compels me forward. So I know from working with people and watching people that they are compelled to do something beyond reason sometimes, because if they don't, they feel like they're not living their purpose. They're not living what they're designed to do. And they feel. How do you feel when you don't feel passionate?
Dead.
Right? Yes, not good. Not good. And so a lot of people don't listen to that knocking that says you need to take action, you need to do this thing. And then they end up just kind of giving up, and you can see it. You can see it on their face. You can see it in the way they walk and the way they move. That people who are filled with their passion and are using that passion productively have a little something extra.
That little something extra, right? It just propels them. It propels them.
Yes.
Now, you have a very interesting name, Honoree. So where does that come from?
It is Old French. So my father took lots of years of French before I was born and when I was little, and so that was how I got my name. It means cherished one in French.
Oh, I didn't know that. I love that, cherished one. That is such an endearment from your father, obviously.
Yes.
Who showered that on you. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So let's take you all the way back, or as far back as you'd like to go.
Okay.
How did you get on this road of your passion and creating these multiple books that you've done, the Single Mom book series, Single Dad series,
sure.
and then we'll get into the Vision to Reality.
I have always had something in me that propelled me forward. So whether it was passion or a desire to contribute, I think it boils down to when I figure something out, I want to help other people to figure it out without the pain that I went through. So I was a foster kid. I lived in a children's home, and so my first goal wasn't to be successful. It was to not feel like crap about myself. And so I went in search of things that made me feel good. So some of the very first things I read were Laughter, the Best Medicine and Reader's Digest, because that's what would come to the house where I was living when I was a senior in high school, and I would read that and think, oh, that's interesting, and I would read stories of inspiration that were in Reader's Digest. And so this is, years ago to remain unnamed, right? And so as I gathered self-confidence, I would see other people who weren't as far along on the path as I was, and I feel compelled to turn around and bring someone with me and to share what I've learned with them so that they don't have to go through the same struggles. Does that make sense?
That absolutely does make sense. And so as you were taking this journey and as you walk this path, how did you end up with the Single Mom series and the Single Dad series?
Well, so the Successful Single Mom was born as I was engaged and getting remarried. So I had been divorced for about 6.5 years, and I was working at home, which I have for most of my adult life, and I'm on the computer and I'm watching Oprah, and she's doing this makeover show. And you know how when Oprah had her show on main regular TV, like ABC, NBC, CBS, they would do these makeover shows and they would bring out someone, but before they always did the before. And I think what they tell you when they're doing the before is they frizz up your hair. So they had this woman, she had half in a scrunchie, half out of a scrunchie, like hair out to here. You know, she's a tiny little person, maybe like 5'4", size 2, and so they put her in a 2XL men's t-shirt, oversized sweats, and some slippers. And I think what they told her was, look as pathetic and miserable as possible, then we're going to take your picture. So it's not just the before, it's the before as bad as it can possibly be. So then they take the picture of her and then they bring her out. And as they're bringing her out, they're doing the intro. And this is Linda, and she's 43 years old, and she's a single mom of 2 people. And I will remember this for as long as I live. Oprah said, of course she, as a single mom, she's a schlumpadinka. So she's not taking care of herself. She's taking care of the kids and the house and her job. And I don't think that Oprah meant that derogatorily. It was just kind of well, this is how we look at single moms. Well, of course that's how she is. Of course she's going to have frizzy hair, half in, half out of a scrunchie. Of course she's going to wear clothes that were her ex-husband's that were 16 sizes too big. Of course she's not going to be like, you know, got a little spring in her step and put a little eyeliner on. Of course that's not what she's going to do because she's a single mom. And that's how we see single moms. And I went, oh, hold the farm. Why do we view single moms as victims, not victors? Why do we view them as not the heroes that they are, right? The people that are being mom and dad and keeping the lights on and the kids in clothing and school and food and working and doing all the things that most single moms do. Why is it that they are looked upon the way they're looked upon? It was very interesting. So I'm engaged. I go into the bathroom. My now husband is in there, and I said, I think I need to write a book for single moms. And he looked at me and he said, you need to take your executive business coaching program and you need to customize it for single moms. And then you need to find single moms and work with them so you make sure it works. Practical man. Didn't want me to write a book about something that didn't work. Right? And so I did. And that was the beginning. And it was that passion of, we can't have anyone look at single moms like that anymore. And P.S. and by the way, I went through a very dark period as a single mom where that's how I felt. I felt how that woman looked. Look as miserable as you possibly can. It's not that that's what was showing up for the public, but that's how I felt. Like I've been married and divorced. I must be a loser. It's only what's possible is only so possible for me because I have this handicap. I have this epic failure in my background, and I thought that is not true. I had come through that and was living, making good money, had attracted a wonderful man into my life, and was getting remarried. My daughter was doing great. So I knew all of those things weren't true, and I didn't want another single mom to feel that way. And so that was what I made the program for them. I found these women. I worked with them. That was an amazing experience. And then out of that, all of the other books have kind of followed. And then you ask about the Successful Single Dad. Well, I had a lot of single dads writing to me and emailing me and saying, I love your book. Where's the book for dads? And I was like, but I've never been a single dad. And they said, well, the book is applicable because it's not gender specific. It's person specific. What are the lessons that you need to learn? What are the gifts you need to take away from? What's your plan you're going to put together? So they said, I'm really just pretending everywhere it says mom that it says dad. So
well, that's fascinating. That's fascinating because you obviously struck a nerve.
Yes, yes. So, and then I had a law firm say, we have a lot of single moms that we work with, but we also work with single dads. So if you can get the single dad book, we'll buy some. And I was like, all right, great, I'm in, sold. So the single dad book was born, and it's really interesting because in interviewing dads to put their stories in the book in place of the mom stories, what I determined was men are taking being parents much more seriously than they have in past generations. And some of the men that I interviewed were very high-powered, very successful, wealthy men who basically said to their companies, I'm a single dad, and everything that I do is going to be customized to me spending time with my children and being home with them every night because I have custody of them. And I thought that was very interesting, because we generally think it's the single moms, but then the dads go off and do whatever they want to do. And I'm seeing that trend is less and less true.
And I'm noticing that also out in the community and the network and the people that I know, the men in particular. So we're talking about men that are single dads that, in fact, if you go on Facebook and you literally see them with their kids. In fact, that's all they post about, because their families are so important. So, I mean, what you're talking about is very interesting, because we tell people when they're trying to follow their passion and make a living what they, with something that they love, is to find the pain point, find something that people have pain about, right? And you just jump right in. You heard it on Oprah. I find that interesting all by itself, because Oprah is not a mom, so how would she know what a single mom feels like, right? But you found the pain point. You heard the pain point and you addressed it. And then, of course, the men came and said, well, what about us? You heard their pain, and once again, you addressed us. So you don't just walk the walk. You don't just talk the talk. You walk the walk. So that's really, really interesting. And from that, tell us how that journey continued.
Well, this is a 3 feet from gold story. So because Oprah inspired the book, the women I was working on the book, when I'm coaching them and writing the book, they were all convinced, as was I, that we were going to release the book. We were all going to send it to Oprah in our little magical packages that were going to show up on her desk, and we would be on the show, and that then we would help these millions of other single moms that, and you may have read this part in Vision to Reality, where I talk about it's the thud that was heard around the world, right? We sent the books off to Oprah and then nothing, like crickets. And it's that thing where I was like, wait a minute, hold on, I was told build it and they will come. And I built it and we've sold 12 copies. Like, what is going on? But what ended up happening over time, because I had put so much time and money into the book, so time writing the book, money, I hired a PR person who was well recommended and highly recommended, and had the price tag to go with it, and the authors to go with it. For whatever reason, it did not catch on, right? So I don't know if it just wasn't the right time or whatever. Maybe that was the universe saying, hold on, sister, we have something coming up for you. But kind of nothing happened for a while. So I put it up on Amazon, and I got back to doing my executive coaching and my training, and I thought, well, maybe this wasn't the thing that was meant for me to help single moms. So we'll see. And over the next couple of years, however, every month Amazon would order more books. And eventually my accountant said, you may want to have your own bank account for this. You may want to have your own company for this, because this is actually a real thing that you've got going on here. And I went, oh, all right. And then people started writing to me, and then I have a COO for my company, and they're writing to her, and they're saying, this program that you write about in the book, where is it? Where is this program being held? So the Single Mom Transformation Program, which was originally meant to say, in the book, I have a whole chapter that says, listen, go get 10 other single moms and have a class with them and do the exercises in this book and be a community for each other. And so what we were hearing was, well, we want someone to lead that. So I created the facilitator certification for the Single Mom Transformation Program, and I have about a dozen of those around the U.S. that hold these classes, and the Single Dad Transformation Program. And so it's been this amazing journey where every time I think, okay, that's it, something else happens. And so I ended up then writing the rest of the books in the series that I had originally penciled out, and then thought, well, why would I write 5 books or 6 books when 1 book wasn't doing anything? And so now there are 5 books in that series, and I'm just about to release the last, I think, the last book in the series in the not too distant future.
So how did you make the leap then from the successful single mom and successful single dads to your newest book that's out, the one that I'm in love with? So how did that come about? And let's talk about, so it's Vision to Reality, and I want to talk about visioning, because that's That's something that we hear that word all that we don't. I actually I've never heard the word visioning, but I've heard vision. You know, we have to have that vision. So tell us how the book came about, and why this has become such a movement.
Got it. Well, so The Successful Single Mom was actually my second book. My first book was Tall Order, which is 7 master strategies to organize your life and double your success in half the time, a mouthful. And so I wasn't really writing books for single moms, Caren. I wasn't writing books for single dads. I was writing business and personal growth and development books. I'm a business coach, okay? so like I'm a corporate trainer. I go in and train on sales skills and business skills and growing your business and rainmaking. So this single mom thing was really a tangent. It was an asterisk, like something that I was compelled by passion to do, but it was not the main thing that I was meaning to do. So I kind of got on track, whatever you want to call it, and wrote those books. But there, in my mind, Tall Order was the beginning of a series of books to help professionals, because then there's another segment of the world that tends to, in some ways, be passionless and frustrated. And I wanted to inspire that. And along the way, I created a 100-day coaching program for me, because I didn't like math. So I wanted a program where I could have 1 day and it was equal to 1%. I'm just saying, like, let's make it easy, instead of a quarter that has 89 or 92 days in it and you have to multiply and divide and all. Who has time for that, right? If I'm making my life happen, I don't have time for that. So I created the coaching program for me, and then eventually I realized that I was selling people on coaching by saying, you're going to pay me a heck of a lot of money and we're going to have a conversation. And I realized I would not buy that. That they were buying it. And right. I must be a great salesperson, but I was like, where's the tangible, right? I pay $400, I get an iPhone. It's math. Quid pro quo, right? I pay you, I get something. And so I thought, well, I have this program that I use, and every 100 days I sit down and create new goals and new outcomes and the whys and the whole thing. I wonder what my clients would think of that. So I rolled that out. And all these years later, there are several different versions of that. I call it short-term massive action, so STMA, so what's in the title. So this book came about because not everyone can afford coaching off the bat. Not everyone knows about the fact that visioning is the verb, right? You have to go do some visioning in order to get the vision. Like, how do you do that? And I wanted to be able to touch as many people as possible and help as many people as possible. And it is much easier to buy an $8 ebook or a $15 paperback than it is to engage in a coaching program sometimes for some people. And I wanted something for my clients that I could give them as a gift that would explain what they would be going through if they chose to coach with me, or if they chose to coach with one of my coaches, right? So give them, here's kind of an overview, here's the psychology behind it, and are you ready? Let's go. Let's turn what it is that you want for your life into the thing that you're living every single day. And then as we go, let's just keep expanding that and pressing the reset button every 100 days and see how far we can take this.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I was telling you before we got on to our interview today that as I was reading it, I was compelled to actually go into my calendar and block off a couple of hours to put down in writing, and I'm gonna. My 5 and 10-year goals, as well as then you talk about trying to bring it back down to go to, bringing it back down to 100 days, 75, and so forth. Can you, I know people are going to want to go out and buy this book, but can you give us and our listeners a couple of things that they can do right now, without even getting the book, when they get off this call, something that they can do right now?
Yeah. Sit down and pull out your calendar and schedule 2 hours. And then start to capture in whatever way it works for you. So writing in a journal, open up a document on your phone, open up Evernote, and create the Vision for My Life document in your journal or online, or however that works for you. And then just start to write down, if time, money, space, love, everything was no object, anything and everything that you would need, where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? How much money are you making? Where is the money coming from? And where are you traveling? What are you driving? What are you eating? How do you look? And take away the limitations that exist today, if they exist, If you're not well, imagine yourself well. If you're not rich, imagine yourself as rich as you would like to be. And rich is not just money. Rich is love and space and time and, having enough, having a clean towel when you get out of the shower, right? Rich is anything and everything that you could think of. And capture that vision, and just start to make it more tangible than just the thing you think in your mind. Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, I don't write down my goals, they're right here. And it's like, well, that's all fine and good, but it's important not to think it, you must also ink it. You must also get it down on paper.
Oh, I like that. Not just think it, but ink it.
Ink it, yes. So get it down. Get it down so that then you can review it and look at it and create a mental movie about it. And so if they don't buy the book, if they don't do anything else, it's capture that vision and create that vision, and then twice a day, close your eyes and visualize yourself riding in that, convertible, I don't know what, convertible Mercedes, right, on the Pacific Coast Highway with your wind in the, your hair in the wind, or us, we would put it in a ponytail so it wouldn't get messy. Right, with your favorite Starbucks drink in the cup holder, and it's glistening and getting water all in your cup holder, and you're like, oh, it's just a Mercedes, I'll get another one, right? I mean, like, who's in the passenger seat with you, and you've got luggage in the trunk, so what kind of luggage is it, and where are you going, and what are you going to experience when you get there? And really live into that and take in the smell of the salt water as it's coming off, and there's a breeze, and what does it smell like, and what are you wearing, and how do you feel? And, when you're at a traffic light, log into your bank account and see how much money is in there. And imagine your best client calling you and saying, you have made my day, thank you so much. And just really live into that. And if that's the only thing that they do, and they visualize that twice a day, they're going to wake up one day and go, oh, I'm driving down the Pacific Coast Highway, checking my bank balance at the traffic light.
It's true. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich?
Just a little, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just a little.
I think I've read that book 100 times, so yes.
I read it every year. I read it every single year, because every single year I listen and hear something different in the book. But, one of the things that I hear people say all the time, oh, we're just supposed to think it and it's just going to show up. Well, not necessarily. You're not going to just think it.
No, but close.
Okay.
Not 100%, but you're right, that's on the right track. There is something very powerful about our minds I think we're just starting to figure out. And visualization is that thinking part, but it's also the, and I heard a great guy recently on YouTube, and I wish I could remember his name right now, but he was saying that when you're visualizing, you visualize in the first person. So it's you driving the car and drinking the Starbucks and having a conversation and checking your bank balance, and then it's also you outside of the car looking down at yourself driving and drinking and talking. So the third person, and viewing yourself doing it, not just from the internal looking out, but also the external watching yourself. I thought that was very interesting, so I've incorporated that also.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that piece before. I have a friend who talks about visualizing, and she actually takes the first person into account when she does her intention statements. And instead of just saying, I am a successful businesswoman, right after that she'll say, my name is Caren Glasser. So that, because the brain understands personal and can say, oh, that's true, that is your name, so maybe the other statements that you're making are true. How do you feel about that? Does that make sense? Oh,
absolutely. First, second, and third person. I'm doing it. You, Caren. I, Caren Glasser, am doing it. You, Caren Glasser, are doing it. Caren Glasser's doing it. Right.
Exactly. Because the unconscious mind versus the conscious mind. I mean, I think of it as like a pyramid, or not a pyramid. What are those? The ice in the ocean. I'm like having a total brain.
What was the Titanic hit? It sounds like three syllables.
Sounds like, those icebergs. Iceberg. So an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is our conscious thoughts, and below the surface are unconscious thoughts, and it's the unconscious thoughts that drive us, basically.
That's right. That's very true.
So, okay, so now that I totally remembered what an iceberg is.
Excellent. Excellent.
We're gonna talk about quotes. I love quotes. Quotes kind of get me going in the day, at the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about our favorite quotes. I'm gonna put out a quote today that's that I actually live my life by, and it's written by me. Imagine that I actually made my own quote, and that is that passion drives us, motivates us, and enables us to live the life of our dreams. What is one of your favorite quotes?
So something by Tony Robbins, anything is possible if you think it's possible. And then I took that and said in Vision to Reality, committed eats impossible for lunch.
Oh, like that. Okay, that's clever. I like that. I like that. So, okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about things that I'm just always curious to hear. If you could spread passion dust anywhere around the world, on anyone around the world, who would you spread it on, and what would you hope to accomplish?
I would spread it on my daughter, and what I would want to give her through that is, and what I'm really trying to do without the dust right now is to give her the belief in herself that anything is possible that she wants to make happen, and that whatever her passion is, I mean, right now her passion is Justin Bieber and the candy jar, which is the little candy store that's in our shopping center.
She can do anything she wants.
I want her to think that she could do anything that she set her mind to, as long as it was for the good of everyone concerned.
And that's wonderful. I think that it's important that we instill in that in our children, so I really appreciate the fact that you want to instill that in your daughter, and I have spent a lot of time instilling that in my sons as well. Mine's a little bit older than yours. He's now a young man. He's not a teenager anymore, but I think it's so important that we instill that in our young people, because they are the future. I mean, that they are who's going to be here long after we're not here anymore.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you have a guilty passion?
Do I have a guilty passion? Yeah, I watch a lot of Bravo TV. I do.
Me too. It's fun.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. And how about, is there a song that you are passionate about? What song gets you going in the morning or in the afternoon?
Right now, my ringtone is Happy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I haven't gotten tired of it. I must hear it 20 times a day. And there's the 24 Hours of Happy, the website, where they just play the song over and over and over again. And
I know.
It never fails to make me happy. And even if the person calling me doesn't make me happy, when my phone rings because I'm happy. Oh, I love that. So I'm passionate about that song right now.
So if people want to get in touch with you and they want to maybe take the next step with you and learn how they can interact with you, where shall they go?
CoachHonoree.com.
CoachHonoree.com, and notice that there are two E's.
It's right there.
Yeah, two E's underneath her name.
Yes.
So check it out, and also check out her books. If you are a single mom or a single dad, definitely go check out that series of books, The Successful Single Mom and Successful Single Dad. And of course, I recommend it highly, because I'm right now in the middle of it, Vision to Reality. Go check that book out and get it. And I'm going to encourage you, even if you have an ebook reader, get it in a book, because you're going to want to highlight, and you're going to want to make notes, and you're going to want to stop and go and do the program. And I don't know about you, Honoree, but even though I have a lot of books on Kindle, all my personal development books and my business growth books are in the hard copy so that I can make notes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I get them in all three. I get the digital book so I can always have it with me if I'm traveling on my iPad. I get it in paperback form or hardcover so I can make the notes, and then I get it in Audible, so if all I'm able to do is listen, I can listen to it.
I am just like you. Oh, it's good to know there are people out there that do exactly the same thing, because I thought I was a little crazy for doing that.
You are crazy in a good way.
I am in a very good way. Is there anything that you'd like to share with our listeners before we say goodbye?
Maybe someone listening is wondering if they can turn their vision into reality, and they are not in a good place. We are clearly in good places today in our lives, and it shows with us. But if someone listening is not in a great place, just keep putting one foot in front of the other and put good stuff in. So read good stuff, listen to good stuff, watch good stuff, and eventually good stuff is going to come out. It has to.
Wise, wise words. Well, I just want to thank you, Honorée, for being on the show today. I'm so appreciative, and I want to thank all of our listeners and our watchers today, because you have a choice as to what you do with your time, and we are so honored that you chose to spend your time with us today. So as always, have an awesome day. Go out and give someone else an awesome day, and we will see you next time on The Passion Point. Goodbye, everyone.